Okay, so the this video is actually going to be using Google Slides, um, but the drawing tools that you're going to learn, will let you use those same drawing tools to make illustrations that look like this. Will also work to make illustrations that look like this, uh, to modify images and put overlays, like that, um, as well as make illustrations that look like this. So you just need to learn what some of the basic drawing tools are. Um, and once you learn those basic drawing tools, you can then learn about more of them and learn some tricks, as far as how you can apply them to do some slightly more advanced things. So what we're going to do in Google Slides is we're going to try and recreate this illustration here. So we need a horizontal number line. We need tick marks. And I'll show how to make tick marks that are evenly spaced. Um, and then add some text, add some curved lines, um, change the lines to be, instead of having arrows on both sides to maybe making them dashed in different colors. So we'll recreate this whole thing, but we'll do it in Google Slides. So in the previous video, I talked about setting up Microsoft PowerPoint as well as Google Slides. And if you remember, I formatted this one to be 12 inches wide and 8 inches tall, and I turned guides on, and there was one vertical guide at 6 inches, okay, which is halfway across, and at 4 inches, which is halfway down, because we want to format our images to be 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall. So I want to create this illustration within this space. Okay. So again, we're trying to make this picture. So let's see, let's go ahead and get started. So um, you could, let's see, I think it's maybe insert. So you could click insert, to insert a line. Um, but here in Google Slides, it does give you a bunch of tools across the top. And if you see this tool right here that says line, okay, you can just click the downward, this caret here. This will be a drop down menu, and we can draw a line, an arrow, and whatnot. Now we'll go ahead and draw a line. Okay, we'll put arrows in a minute. Now, a useful tool or method to do is that when you're drawing lines, we want a perfectly horizontal line. We want it to be perfectly horizontal. Now, you could sit here and stare at the screen and try and make it exactly horizontal. Okay, forget it. Okay, don't even try that. All right, it's going to look horrible. So, instead, what you can do is left click and hold. Now watch what happens when I hit the shift key. When I hit the shift key and I move the mouse around, notice how the line snaps to certain angles, right? If I let go of shift, okay, now it's not snapping to different angles. If I hold shift down again, see how it's snapping to different angles? So I think this is like 0 degrees, 15 degrees, 30 degrees, 45, 60, maybe 75, 90 degrees. Okay. So just by holding the shift key down, I can make a perfectly horizontal line. All right. So I'll draw it about that big. Okay. So right now the line is selected and I can click off of it. Now it's not selected. I can click on it and now it's selected again. So with it selected, okay, I can change some of the options really fast with these tools across the top. So here I can change the color. Well, I want to make sure it's black. Right now it's set for dark gray, but I want it to be black. So now it's black. I want to make it a little thicker. So maybe 3 pixels thick. There you go. That looks better. And I want to put arrows to both sides. So right here, this is the line start, and I can choose my arrow shapes. See that? Um, so I'm not going to be too fancy here. I'm just going to choose, let me see how that one looks. Yeah, that looks okay. And I'll choose the same arrow style on the right-hand side. So left arrow style, right arrow style. So again, I can take the arrow style off, okay? And notice that those tools go away when I deselect the line. If I select the line, those tools come back. All right, there we go. So we've got our horizontal line. Let's now make these tick marks. All right. Now, to kind of show you a skill, we're going to make 5 tick marks that will be evenly spaced. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tick marks. Okay. So let's go back here. All right. So I'm going to draw another line. So the tick mark, I'm going to left click and hold, and I'm going to drag down. And remember, hold the shift key down. Okay, that'll snap. I want it to be perfectly vertical. All right. And how long you make it is kind of up to you. I'm going to make it about this long right there. That looks all right. And I want it to have the same thickness, so and the same color. So let's make that black and 3 pixels. All right. Now, don't bother positioning it just yet. Don't move it anywhere. All right. Let's go ahead and create 4 more of these. So I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and then I'm just going to paste once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So now I've actually got 5 marks, right? 5 tick marks. And you're like, yeah, but they're not on this line. Don't worry, we're going to get there. The first thing you want to do is take the leftmost line, which we want to put really close to this edge. I want it to be positioned somewhere right about there. And then the rightmost point, I want it to be right about there. So the position of this tick mark to this left arrow is about the same as this tick mark to that right arrow. All right. So this is kind of where I want to say the magic happens. So select all of these like that. And what we can do is go to Arrange, okay, the Arrange menu, and we can distribute these horizontal. So when we distribute these horizontally, it's going to space them out equidistant from each other. And it's going to do it in a horizontal direction. See that? So, you can see that the distances between each of these are equal. Now, if we want them to line up across the top, we can just go to Arrange, Align, Top. There we go. And now we've made 5 equally spaced tick marks that are all identical. Okay. So I'm going to select those again. And let's see here. Can I group those? Yes. So if I want to treat these as like one object, so that I don't accidentally move one and not the others, I'm going to group it. So how did I do that? The first thing you want to do is you want to select all these. And if I right click on one of these objects, I can choose group. It has a keyboard shortcut, so I could have hit Control G. Let me see, I can probably do it. I can do the same thing by going to the Arrange menu and choosing Group. Okay, so now if I click on one, it clicks on all, it selects all of them at once. Okay, and now I can just use the up arrow, okay, to kind of move it up and down. Again, I could use the mouse, but remember, I positioned this left mark to be where I wanted it relative to this left arrow, and I put the right mark to position it where I wanted it to relative to the right arrow. So if I just use the up arrow and the down arrow keys, it'll move it perfectly up and down, okay, without any side to side movement. Now, let's see here. I'll click off. Okay, so it's not really perfectly spaced. So what I can do now is I think if I hold the shift key down and then the down arrow, I can move it at smaller increments. So now I can move it at smaller increments by holding down the shift key and doing the up and arrow down arrow buttons. Try and get it spaced. Let me go one more down. And you can see because I've grouped all these, it makes it easy just to select one and now I can move them all at once. Okay. All right. So that's good. So now we've made this number line and we've made these five tick marks. Um, let's go ahead and put the boundaries in. Okay. And we'll put it on these tick marks here and here. So um, we're going to do that using the drawing tool we've already made, we've already learned to use, which is this line drawing tool. So I'm going to click line, and I'm not going to care really where I put it right now. Um, so all I'm going to do is saying, well, I kind of want it maybe that far from the top. I'm going to hold the shift key down so that I can make it perfectly vertical. And let's see, if I put it there, is that about right? Yeah, that'll be good. Okay. And let's make this black again. And let's make it the same 3 weight. All right. But see, if I have too many lines crossing each other, it's going to get confusing. So I'm going to change the format of this line to maybe be dashed here. Okay. And so that will draw some attention away from, this horizontal number line. Okay. Now what I can do is I can now move this over and do something like that with it. Again, I can use the up and down arrow keys, if I want to position it a little bit better. Okay, there we go. Um, and then I can just copy this, and then I can paste it, and then move it over here. Now here I am using the mouse to move things. And if I don't like where that is, I can use the arrow keys. Okay. And even then that's not perfect. So let me hold shift and hit to the right a couple times. Oh, that's not, oh, sorry, shift. There we go. Okay. Now let me also go ahead and align the tops because these are not perfectly level here. So I'll hold the shift key down and I'll select both. I can go to arrange, align, top. There we go. And I can even group these like I did the last time. And let me move this down a little bit, maybe to something like that. All right, not too shabby. All right, let's see, what else do we need? Um, we need to put this text in. So let's put some of this number line text. So we'll put in R value, we'll put a -1, 0, and then we'll do this R crit, this R critical value, negative and positive on here as well. Okay. So let's go to insert. We can insert a text box. Okay, so we'll just draw a text box like that. And so this is going to be, let's do it this way. Let's put correlation. Nah, let me just keep it simple. R value. Okay. Now, of course, this is not the way that I want it to look. I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, but this text is is that a little bit too big? Yeah, it's going to be a little bit too big for what I want here. So what we can do is We can actually change the style of font. I'll change it to Times New Roman. Times New Roman is a very common font used in scientific literature. And let's see, I want to make sure that this text is black. I don't know why it keeps going to dark gray, and I'll go ahead and make it bold. And let's maybe make this 20 point. That looks like that'll be close enough. All right. And we can just kind of position that wherever we want. Oh, too much. Now, notice that this text, has a certain distance from the edge. Let me show you how to take that padding off because that can be really frustrating. With this text box selected, you can come over here to Format Options, and this will let you get kind of down to the nitty-gritty of whatever it is you have selected. And so if I go to, let's see, text fitting, and I look at the options for text fitting, you can see here under padding, it's got padding to the left and padding to the right. I can just make that 0. And notice on the left padding, when I set it to 0, it closed that gap. And here on the right-hand side, I could change the padding to 0 as well. Okay, and so that when I resize this box, I can get it closer to my text, like that, without the text going over to the next line. And I'm also going to take the padding off the top and the bottom. Okay, to me, that's kind of like really frustrating. All right, there we go. All right, so, I can position this wherever I like. So right there looks good. And again, I want to stay within these boundaries, okay, because this is at my 4 by 6 inch boundary. All right, so now let's go ahead and add the numbers. So since we've already formatted this text box, let's just copy and paste it. And it'll copy and paste all of those settings that we just made. So let me go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. All right, now let's change this to a -1. And then I can reposition that. Oh, I want to actually right here. And I can use the arrow keys to move it with Shift to move it in smaller increments. This little handle at the top, this is if you wanted to rotate it. Okay, that's if you want to rotate it. Um, but that serves as a guide if you want to be able to center it on something, right? So notice if I want to center this number, if I get this as close as I can, if I want to center this number, on this mark, I can just move this rotation handle to line up with my mark, like that. Okay, and that'll be pretty good. So I need -1, 0, and +1. So I'm just going to take this, copy, paste, drag that over here, make that a 0, and I'll draw this a little closer. And then I will also get this maybe more in line with the mark. Okay, that's about as good as I'm going to get, I think. And let me paste again and bring this over here, and I'll change that to a +1. Let me make this just a tiny bit bigger. There we go. Oh, too much. All right. And then I will use Shift and left arrow and line that up with that mark. All right. Now, again, these could be off, but what I can do is I can select them all. Oh, it grabbed these. Okay. So we want to be careful of that. Okay, let me hit Shift. So if I hit Shift and I click something that's selected, it deselects it. Okay, so now I've just got these selected, and the reason why I selected them is because I want to do arrange, align, top. I want to align their tops. You could align the bottom too. Okay, that would be all right. Okay, so now these numbers are lined up on the tick marks and they're all in line with each other horizontally. Okay, so let me take this one and because now we need to put negative R crit and positive R crit down here. So let me copy, paste, put that down here. Okay, so I'm going to erase that and let me put crit and I want this to be negative. All right. Now I want this actually as a subscript. And I just realized, let's see, I forgot how to make that a subscript. So let me try and figure that out really quick. Um, let's see here. It's not going to be edit, view, format. No, not format options. It's not going to work. Text. Ah, here we go. So under the format menu, go to text, and down here it says subscript. So now this is R subscript crit. Okay. And I can resize this box to encapsulate everything. And I can position that where it needs to go. Using shift and arrow, we put it right there. Okay. Now I need to put positive R crit. So now I'm going to just copy, paste that, put that over here. Let me make that a positive. Make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And position that right in line with that dashed line, which serves as a border. And then I can hold down the Shift key, select these two, and do Arrange, Align, Top. There we go. So let's see what we got left here. All right, so we got our horizontal number line. We've labeled the number line as well as these borders. Okay, let's go ahead and add this text. So good estimator with a left and right arrow and 95% confidence level pass. So let's do that. Um, okay, so we will insert, actually, no, let's just reuse what we've already got. So let's go ahead and take this one and let's copy, paste, and let's go ahead and resize this. And I want to say that this is a good estimator. And this is going to be 95% confidence level pass. Okay. So obviously I think I'm going to want to make this text a little bit smaller. So with all this selected, let me make this maybe 18, 16 point. That might be as small as I want to go. Something like that. Okay, that'll work. I'm going to make this R value a little bit smaller too. Move that down. Okay, there. That kind of separates those two. All right. And I can take this text and I can center justify it. So let me come over here to this align tool and I'll center justify it like that. And let me make the text. Yeah, I don't. So I'm kind of torn. If you want to make it a color, make it a dark one. Okay. so that if it prints in black and white, it'll still show up strongly. Okay, so I wouldn't go like any lighter than that color green. Okay, so I'll have something about like that. And we need that on the other side too, but I'm holding off because I want to draw another line. I want to put an arrow right here, which shows this region is the region where it's a good estimator. Okay, so I'm going to draw another line and I'll draw it with an arrow. Why not? And I'll draw it off to the side for now, holding down the Shift key to make it perfectly horizontal. And let me put an arrow on the other side. And I'll go ahead and make that the same color green. And I'll make it maybe a little thicker, 2 pixels. And I'll position that down here, something like that. That looks pretty good. Now I'm holding down the Shift key. I'm going to select these two. And I'm going to go to Arrange Group. Now, at a later time, if you want to get rid of this or separate or move it around, so if you group something, you can just go back to Arrange and ungroup it. And now it'll become two separate objects again. Okay. So that's a way how you can do that. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and, sorry, group these together. And I want to copy and paste this over here on the other side, like that. Okay, it's about the same. And then I want to align these. I want to align their tops. So I'm going to select them both. So hold down the Shift key, click them both, go to Arrange, Align, Top. And then if you need to move those up and down, you can move those up and down if you like. So, you could even do something like that maybe. That would be all right. All right, now we need to put the region in here, which is the region for a bad estimator. So I'm going to select one of these and I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to paste it. I'm going to put it over here. Now here's a trick. I want, let's see here, let me go ahead. This is where it's a bad estimator and it's going to fail a 95% confidence level. Okay, so let's say I want to have this text right in the middle between these two boundaries. Okay. Um, One trick that I can do, first of all, let me go ahead and line these up again. Range, top. There we go. One trick you can do is since this object is center justified, if I reshape this box to fill the space between these two borders, notice now it's centered in this box. Okay, so this is a little trick if you want to build to space things out. You can just center justify and then resize the box to fill that space and it'll put the text right in the middle. Okay. Um, so let's see here. I want to change that to red. So I'm going to use maybe a dark red so that if it prints in black and white, it'll still be legible. And let me put this arrow. Let me copy that. Let me see here. If I copy that, will it only paste the line? Okay, there we go. So now I'm just going to hold down the Shift key. So holding down the Shift key works also when you're trying to resize things. Okay. It's snapping to that control point. Okay, so let me do something like, all right, that's bothering me. Do that. Okay, now I can move this back down. And let me change that color to the same color of red. All right, so Now we've got our regions, good, bad, and good, with the appropriate text. So that looks pretty good. Let's see what else we have to do. Okay, I forgot we need text that says RSAMP. Okay, so we'll just copy one of these over here and we'll change crit to SAMP. And then we need to put these arrows in there with maybe some question marks. So we'll look at possibly doing that. All right, so let me take this and let me copy it, paste it, come over here. Okay, we don't need a positive. I want to come down here and type SAMP. There we go. All right, that's good. All right, now we need to kind of put those curved lines. So those curved lines, what they're indicating is, this value of RSAMP, is this number going to be larger than R crit? Is it going to be less than positive R crit? Is it going to be larger than negative R crit? Or is it going to be smaller than negative R crit? Okay, that's what those mean. You'll see that if we click here on our drawing tools, we can draw a curve. Um, yeah, so we can draw a curve. Now let's see here. I haven't had as much practice with this. So let me left click and hold. Let me see if I remember. Ah, okay. Let me hit escape. All right, so we need to click 3 times. So let me select a curve. All right, so we click once for a start. We click a second time. No. Okay, I'll figure this out. All right, curve. Let's see here. Click and hold. No. All right, curve. All right, click and hold. All right, now let me hit shift. So I'll put 1 point here. So I'll let go. Okay, and then okay, let's try that. And if I hit escape, no. All right. As you can see, I haven't used this very much. Okay, let's try left click and hold. I'm holding shift key down. Let's try a 30-degree angle or a 15-degree angle here. Let go and then draw up. That looks pretty good. I'm still holding the shift key. So let's try that. Okay, now I think if I hit the right mouse button, no. If I hit enter, no. If I hit escape, it just goes away. Okay, and I don't want that. Let's see here, curve. Let's try this again. Shift key, 30 to 15 degrees. Okay, up to about there. Nope. Okay. Oh, I think I remember what it is now. Okay, let me hit escape. All right, so I think I have to double click. I think that tells it that's the end of the line. All right, so left click and hold, shift key to go to 15 degrees, let go, still holding shift. Now I think if I double click, there we go. And let's see, I want to put an arrow on one end. So I'll put line end, I'll put arrow. Let's see here. Let me use a different arrow. There we go. And let's make sure that this is black and make it just a little thicker. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let me try something here. So if I copy this and then I paste it, okay. let me move it over here. Now here I've got format options. Okay, so if format options isn't showing, you can show it. Now let's look at its size. It's 1.52 inches wide. So a trick you can do if you want to mirror this, let me see if this works. I know this works with Microsoft PowerPoint, is take this control point here on the right, drag it all the way to the left, and we know that it should be 1.52 inches wide. So I'm going to type over here under the width of the size width, 1.52. And now I have an exact copy that I can then just reposition like that. So that looks pretty slick. Um, and since I like this line, let me see here, I can edit, copy, and then I can paste this. And let's make it narrower and reposition that maybe right there. Oh, maybe let's make it a little bit narrower. And I can change the height. Let's change the height. Something like that. That looks pretty good. Okay. And let's make this an even 0.4. There we go. And then let's take this one and let's copy. Let's paste it. Bring it over here. Okay, and we know it's 0.4 inches wide. Okay, we know it's 0.4 inches wide. So let me do that same mirror trick. And let me change the width to 0.4. There we go. And then I'll reposition that. Okay. And if I want these to, maybe all be the same height, we can select them all. And then we can put arrange, align, top. There we go. And that doesn't look half bad. That looks pretty good. All right. Now we need to maybe put in those question marks. And let me check something really quick. I don't know, can you put text inside of an object? In Microsoft PowerPoint, you can. I don't think we can insert text. Okay, then let's do it this way. Let's take this text that we've got here. Let's copy and paste it. All right, and then let's select this text and make it a question mark. And I want to center justify this. And I want it to be in the center, top and bottom. There we go. And let me fill this text box in black. And then I can make the text color white. Okay. Not too bad. And then I'll just take this and I can move it here. I can copy, paste, move it over here. I'll paste in another one. Put that here. Paste in another one. Maybe put it there. All right. We can do our best to try and, square these up. We can take two of them and we can align their tops like that. And you can select it and play around with moving it to the left and to the right a little bit to try and center it. Again, you're just eyeballing it here. These two look pretty good. I think I did a decent job of, oops, aligning their tops. There we go. Okay. One thing that may happen to you is you might get something like this, where it looks like this line is on top of this question mark object. You see how it looks like it's kind of blocking this out? When you create objects, like this, it's stacking them on top of each other. And sometimes objects get stacked on top of others that you don't want to be stacked on top of. So here, this line is being stacked on top of this question mark. So if you click on the object that you want to bring to the front, what you do is we go to Arrange, go to Order, and put Bring to Front. And what that does is it brings it to the very top of the stack, and it'll put it above everything else. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think we've done a good job here of recreating this illustration. Um, the only thing that is left for us to do now is to maybe output this. Ah, here lies the problem, I think. I was gonna, let's see here, download. Now I remember. Okay, so something that I forgot, I think, about Google Slides. Let's see here. Hmm. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Okay, I think something that I forgot about Google Slides is that when you go to save it, when you go to download and you download it as a JPEG or a PNG file, you see it says current slide. So it's going to save everything here. 12 inches wide, 4 inches high. And that's not what we want. We want we want it to only be 4 by 6. So what's a way around this? Let's see here. If I select it all and I group everything. Yeah, that's nice. Can I select it? Hmm. It would be nice if I could just export this right out of here. I can download, but if I download, it's going to download the whole thing. All right. Okay. So, I don't think that this is a bad idea to make it 12 by 8. I think probably the way to get around this is going to be to take a screenshot. So to do a screenshot, we can hit Windows, Shift, and S, and then select everything, maybe trying not to get the guides in there, like that. And let me show you what this looks like um, once I've taken the screenshot. Okay, so once I've taken the screenshot of just the illustration, okay, here's the illustration right there. And now I can click save and I can save it to anywhere on my computer and then import this. Um, I think on the previous tutorial that I made, um, if you dimension it, if you dimension your presentation to be 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall, then instead of doing a screenshot, then you can just go File, Download, JPEG or PNG, and it'll just take only what's in the current slide. And since the slide is 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall, it'll just take what's there. Okay, so yeah. All right, let's leave it at that. Let's cut this video off here. Let me know if you have any questions.